Hello, today I'll be interviewing UKKA Black Belt Rob Gandapermana. Rob is a military veteran and teacher. Rob was a key player on the Martial Arts Unlimited competition team. Thank you for supporting the UKKA and being one of our ambassadors. We also want to thank you for doing this interview and sharing your time with me and the UKKA community.
Thank you.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're fine. Our first question is, how did you get into martial arts and what was the beginning like?
I had an interest in a martial arts the way like most kids had interest in martial arts. You see it on TV and there's like a lot of fighting. It's really cool. Those guys were like superheroes, right? Fighting bad guys, and they all knew kung fu, they all knew karate. But my father actually ended up signing us up for several schools. We did a couple in the YMCA. We did some kung fu. We did hapkido. I didn't really actually get into it. I mean, I guess it was fun for a little bit, but my brother was the one who sought out a martial arts class. And that's how he found the one in UKKA, which I kind of followed him there. Basically, I was doing it because he was doing it. It was something for us to do after school. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it. And so that's how I got into it. When I got in, I started to enjoy it. And a lot of it was because I thought, I was kind of good at it, I felt a little bit confident in there. But also the environment there was very welcoming. There were a lot of new friends that welcomed me in, including Mr. Morgan, Mr. Siegfried, Mr. Beach, Jay Noah. When I was in there, that was new to me. I was kind of an outsider when I was in high school. I didn't really talk to many people, and being a part of a group of martial artists who I would learn from turned out to be a pretty big deal, and I enjoyed it. And that's how come I kept doing it over the years. From the end of middle school to I think the end of high school, I was there.
Where did most of your training take place?
Most of my training took place both in the Association Martial Arts and with Martial Arts Unlimited. We started off under Chuck Beach, and he kind of like, from there, I credit him with teaching us like sort of the fundamentals. Then when we transferred over, where it became Martial Arts Unlimited under Master Morgan, I sort of learned an appreciation for the art. And so most of my training was there. In UKKA, the little dojo was on California Street. I remember because there was a market that happened every, I want to say Thursday, and we walk around, have a good time, then go back in and then train a little bit. Yeah, that's where most of my training. But at the same time, we went, to other martial arts schools, and we learned a little bit from there. I've since then, on and off, gone to things like jiu-jitsu, other MMA schools to see what they've got going on.
How has martial arts helped you in your everyday life?
I'm a school teacher, and actually, as I started to think of it, I kind of credit the martial arts with giving me my first job teaching. The skills that I was taught, it wasn't just fighting skills. A lot of it is dealing with people. A lot of that is also you also get a lesson in perspective, seeing the people as they are training and watching for the mistakes they're making and trying to point that out to make them better is something that a school teacher has to do. With different tools. But at the same time, you know, I got to learn that stuff and then, apply that stuff as a teacher, as an instructor, as one of the higher belts in the school. They gave us that responsibility of welcoming the younger, newer students. And some of these students, they're not always like little kids. Some of them are older. Some of them are like much older. Some of them are parents. And it really taught me about the variety of people that you will meet as a school teacher, and how they are essentially, they all have different styles of learning. And as a teacher, you need to be able to kind of like work with that. Not everybody learns the same way. And in martial arts, not everybody fights the same way. But it's a good way. That's why it's a good environment to like learn from each other. And some of those principles I like to take in the classroom. Some of the best classrooms that I have been in have, adopted, those kinds of principles. And I think that that's, well, that answers your question, I hope.
Yeah. What is your favorite martial arts memory?
Right now, I want to say, well, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them have to do with just hanging out with my the fellow students of mine. Whether it's just after class and we're all like sweaty and beat up a little bit, and we're just talking and, joking around, or walking around in those markets, every Thursday, with our uniforms on. Not the belts, but those are some of the best times that we've had. We went to a bunch of tournaments, and that was also new for me. I didn't really go out much, but hanging out with my brother and John and everybody from Martial Arts Unlimited, and meeting new people in the martial arts community and talking about our art. Those are some of the best memories that I've had. And I'll always remember them and treasure them as giving me this sort of understanding of how people were, especially in my formative years.
What is your favorite story about Grandmaster Morgan?
Okay, so one time in the tournament, and this one I'll tell because it sticks out in my mind when I think back to it. There was one tournament, and we had entered in, and we mostly did like sparring, and I placed and I lost, and that's all part of the game. And it was fun. I remember at one specific time when there was a part of the tournament was like for forms or whatever, and they were looking for more contestants to to try for it. And I thought it was interesting, but I wasn't sure if I should do it because the forms that I had, I wasn't really confident in, because I was just getting into it. I still didn't have that sort of confidence, and I especially there were some forms that were really like high level that I hadn't practiced yet or I haven't trained in yet. And Mr. Morgan basically, as we sat there talking about it, he said, "Make one up." Now he smiled at me. He said, "Yeah, just go make one up." And it was different for me because I'd never considered myself like a creative person, but I thought it would be an interesting, I thought it would be interesting, and so I did. I ended up placing in that tournament. I don't remember what place I got, but what does stand out with me is the memory of using like what I knew about the martial arts to create something from the ground up, and doing it with a little bit of pressure. And I did feel a little bit proud of myself at that moment. I think that one of the things about that is that I may not have thought I was creative at the time, but after that, I sure knew that I could do something like that, you know. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated.
What is your favorite story about Senior Master Siegfried?
Senior Master Siegfried, when I think of Master Siegfried, like I remember meeting him and just being sort of I don't know what the right word is. He's a police officer, and I didn't get that vibe from him, like as a kid. You know, he was welcoming. He was patient. He was compassionate. He was dedicated to teaching and dedicated to learning in a way that that stuck out to me. He was teaching jujitsu, and he was teaching eskrima, and those things were very, very practical. But he also had an understanding that this stuff was all new to us, so he's very patient with it. So with regard to him, I remember that the most. His instruction and the way that he did it. The environment, the welcoming sort of like, good-humored environment, and helping us to kind of learn these things, in a, just that feeling of like, okay, I can make a mistake. It's cool. He's not gonna get mad. It stuck out to me, and so there you have it.
What does your black belt mean to you?
Well, okay, so my black belt usually is like it's a sign of like the hard work you do. The more I think about it, though, the more I think of it as sort of it's a symbol of every kind of like, I guess the easy way to say it is everybody that ever believed in you, like the interactions that you had on this journey to being a black belt. Every single time you got beaten in a sparring match, every new thing that you learn and everything that you taught somebody is embodied in that black belt. All the sweat and tears and hard knocks and all of the teachers that took their time of their day to make sure that you did something right. That's all right there in the black belt that you have. You didn't get there on your own. You put in the work. You showed that you are committed. But there are a lot of people who sat there and who knew that you were you had the potential for something, and they took it upon themselves to help you get there, because they believed in you. And I think that that's important for you to remember. Taking out your black belt and having it be there for you, especially when like after high school times get tough, or even in high school times get really tough. But when you look at your black belt, yeah, it shows what you can do, but also shows the amount of time that the people around you have helped put into you. And it's just as much the students, the white belts around you that you helped teach, and as it is the masters who gave you the sort of guiding light to kind of help guide your path. And so you are going to be a black belt soon, right?
Yeah, next year.
Okay. Well, I hope you take those words into account. Okay. There's a lot of people that believe in you, and just, I guess, remember that.
How do you see your martial arts journey continuing?
Well, I have a kid. I have two, and I want to instill into them some of the lessons that I've learned from martial arts. I want them to understand the idea of community, of learning from each other, and of that competition can sometimes be a good thing. I want them to yeah, I guess I want them to learn self-defense, but at the same time, I want them to have a good, positive outlook on life, and on themselves, like what they can do. And that's pretty much it. You know, I want to pass it on to them.
What advice do you have for martial artists?
Don't, you know, you gotta take a look. I guess my advice would be like perspective. You know, you're never done learning. You know, there's always you know, a weakness or something, some kind of perspective that you've never seen. One of the good things about martial arts unlimited and martial arts in general is how welcoming it is. You know, if you find a good school and it's a good community and they welcome you in, you know, you take that attitude and you convey it to other students who are looking for it. You know, not every school is the same. Some are more welcoming than others. But as a learner and as a black belt, as a martial artist, as a somebody who is constantly looking to challenge themselves, you have to look to different ways of thinking, different ways of being, and different ways of seeing things, so that you can get better. You know, and you know, when you do, you know, try to bring people along. You know.
Any final thoughts?
Not really. I think I've talked enough, but I do want to say thank you, and I appreciate what you are doing here. I do wish you good luck, and you know, I can't wait to see where you find yourself in the future.
Thank you. And thank you again for sharing your memories with me and the entire UKKA family.
Thank you.